Lord. I got to know Reverend Cheryl in our class. I started with the Foundations class with Reverend Cheryl and Reverend Michael. And when Reverend Cheryl walks into the room, when you talk about be the love, that is Reverend Cheryl. She is the love. And I just felt an instant connection with you, and I'm sure so many people who come into your presence feel that way. And Reverend Cheryl is the dean of the Agape University currently. She was the dean of a law school. She is an esteemed attorney, a celebrated attorney, and one of the most respected voices and powerful presence at Agape. And of course, the author of the Oath of Manifestation that we all just read, so you can just see her heart and see her vibration just in the words that we just read. And thank you so much. And I then took the meditation class with you, and thank you so much for sharing your heart with me and allowing me to get to know you, and I'm so grateful. And I'm so honored to have you here today, such a special, special day. So thank you so much for being here. Yes. And we get to hear a special message now from Reverend Cheryl.
Wasn't it? Yes. And she was talking about me. I get to see myself through the eyes of Jessica. It's so wonderful to be here, and I want to welcome all of you who are here, some for the first time. It's part of what we always do. So if you found it strange I was giving you hugs, it's just, that's what we do at Agape. We hug people, we feel that we're meeting you as a spirit, as a soul being. And so there's really no separation. So I hug everybody. I want to acknowledge the people who came here from Agape. Would you stand up? Let's give them a hand. They look around. Even after the time change, we lost the hour of sleep, and they're here. I love it that they come to be with, to support me, to hold vision. So, one of the things that we do in love, it's always a giving forth. It's never a withholding. Anything that withholds is not love. Anything that conditions, I'll give you this if. If there's an if in there or a but in there, kick the if, but out. Because that means there's some kind of condition on love, but love was given very freely, without conditions on it. It just gives forth. Love comes, obviously, as you know, from the source, the one source, the creator of the universe. And one of the things that I do in expressing love, and that's where we really get to acknowledge love through its expression, is I like to give little gifts. So you all got a little note. That's my gift from you. And outside I brought a lot of other little gifts that we have here at Agape. Now you have them here. Some bookmarks with sayings from Reverend Michael and some inner visions. Those are little books of meditations, daily meditations that you can use and take with you in your spiritual practice. And there are a few other little things. Just go out and check it out. Be surprised. The other thing I have some gifts here for my wonderful hosts. Here, Patricia and Jessica. I brought you some. Oh yeah, I don't know why I'm looking over here. Anyway, the heart that loves can't help but give, and that's one of the things that I want you to take away from this today. I never speak without wanting people to take something from the speak. I don't want you to say, oh, she was nice and she sounded pretty good, but I don't remember a damn thing that she said. That's not who I am. So I always want you to remember that to be in love means to express something, to pour forth something, to give forth something. And sometimes it's in gifts, like I'm doing here, because I really want you to understand, I feel honored that you would ask me to come. I'm honored that you would want me to be here at your center. And I know you're kicking off a new era in your center. And to be here as the first speaker is such an honor. I'm creating history here. Thank you guys. So I love it. And as I thought about the two of you, I couldn't resist. And I put it together some little things to give you and leave with you. So this thing, love, telling you a little bit about love. It doesn't sit on the corner. You can't go to the 7-Eleven and buy it. You can't go to Bloomingdale's, Macy's, or any of those fine stores. Doesn't matter how much money you have or billions, you cannot go and get it somewhere. It is within you. You came with it. In fact, you were created out of love. The love of God, Spirit, eternal. You hear me using those words frequently, interchangeably. So you were created out of love. And I have to say this, it's a little disclaimer. I said this on Wednesday night, I spoke, and to make the point, many of us think we weren't created out of love. Because either we came from families that weren't very loving, or we were put up for adoption, or maybe we were left on a street corner somewhere, or maybe we got our butts kicked all the time. We got whipped, we got punished. That means nothing to the life force that created you. I want you to understand that. How we get here really isn't it. And there could be a loving relationship, yes, but that's all coming from the one source that sources all of us, that expresses love. And so, even though we've had circumstances in our younger years that weren't so loving, we still are loved. It is within us, and it cannot touch us. There's a part of you that is never touched by this human experience or circumstance. How many people know that? Raise your hands if you know that. Good. Do you call that soul or essence? Is that more familiar term with you? Soul or essence, the essence of who I am. That part of you is invisible, but it radiates out of your body temple. And if it's really in its essence radiating out, you feel it, don't you? You can walk into a room and you can feel the energy. The energy is the radiance coming from the people in the room or what they left in the room. Energy gets left in a room. And you may feel either drawn towards it or maybe repulsed by it. It just means that the essence of who you are is either resonating and coalescing with the truth of who you are, which is a love, pure loving being, or it doesn't feel like that. And so you feel off and a little out of kilter. This essence that I'm speaking about is the pure love, unadulterated, uncontaminated, cannot be contaminated and cannot be adulterated. I'm going to give you a visual so you can remember this. I think I said this in class recently. So let me go over here and pretend, use your imagination. I picked up here a big bucket. I'm strong. It's really big. And it contains a lot of black paint. So now I've got this bucket of paint and I'm going to throw it. Imagine that. And tell me how much of the paint stuck in the air. Not one bit. And that's the way your essence is. No matter what you go through in life, no matter what has happened to you in life, there's that part of you that was not touched. Just as the black paint does not stick, it's not resonant with it. It doesn't have the same frequency, so it cannot stick. And the same for you in the experiences that you have. You are love, and anything unloving cannot stick on you. But we get tripped up because we put it in our head and we start thinking about it And we start thinking thoughts and giving meaning to things. And we forget, oh, that really didn't affect me. It couldn't. The true essence of who I am is still intact, still complete. Nothing and no thing and no circumstance is going to ever deny that. That's love in its pure state. And it's important that you understand love in its pure state is invisible. But it has energy and it has frequencies. And energies and frequencies connect. There are energies and frequencies in this room that you are connecting. This morning when I led you through the meditation, those of you who were here, do you remember me telling you to breathe out to a count of 5? And breathe in to a count of 5? Well, there are two things about that. One, it keeps you focused. And you keep doing it for at least 5 minutes. And pretty soon you will find there's a rhythm that takes over. The other part of it is, and this has been demonstrated by the Heart Math Institute, that your heart begins to beat in sync with everyone else. You see Jennifer nodding, you know this. And so when the room is in sync, there creates a mighty field of love, because you're love beings. And your heart is love. We think of the heart as love. It doesn't know how to be anything other than itself. And so it's a perfect way in which to be in a room or be in a situation and begin to synchronize and bring hearts into coherence. So we create a field of coherence that becomes very loving, warm, and welcoming. In fact, the individual from the Heart Math Institute, when I had him come to one of my classes and he was demonstrating this, he said you could even go into a hospital. Let's say you're visiting someone who's not doing well. The body is showing signs of some type of dis-ease, infirm. And you can do that same exercise. Breathe. And the other hearts will pick that up and come into coherence with your heart. Your heart begins to beat at a certain rhythm. It brings a state of calm and peace and peacefulness to the situation. And I asked that question because I had a brother at that time who was in Chicago in rehab and going through some tough times with respect to his body and temple. And I wanted to be able to do that for him. And the people don't even need to know what you're doing. But you're just being a beneficial presence. You're bringing coherence and peace to the situation. That's love. That's you expressing love. That's you being a vehicle for love. So once you get used to the idea that love is not a noun, although it's used as a noun, it really is an expression. It's active. It's not dormant. It doesn't sit anywhere. It's active. It's present. And it can be activated through awareness. And your awareness, your intention, what you want for life, for yourself, and for others, activates it. And sometimes you just can't help yourself. You're just so full of love, you feel compelled to hug someone. Someone told you a story, and all of a sudden, it could be a stranger. You just want to hug them. That's love that's welling up within you and radiating out. Your heart is beating in a coherence, and the coherence is with the universe. There are universal energies on this planet, earth energies we call them. I call them vitalizing, infinite energies from the one source, the creator that has created all of us. So you get to be the vehicle and the source of bringing coherence and everything into that space. Many of you, how many have ever gone to Agape for the first time? You're good. Over here. There. Well, all my Agape people, we all had a first time. And listen, no matter what, whoever's talking, they're going to give you the same story. Their first time, there's something different here. There's something about this place. Some people say, I don't even remember the message. I don't know what it was talking about, but I knew this was home. I knew this. That's the unspoken, inarticulate. Words cannot express or describe this thing that we're calling love. And you get to be the vehicle, you get the point of distribution for that love. And you want to do that, and you want to be in the world that way, because you will find more joy, more happiness, more bliss in your workplaces, in your families. Families, sometimes the people closest to us, it's hardest to find the love expressed there. Anybody ever found that? Sometimes co-workers do it. But here's the thing. When that happens, this is the place of our greatest growth. Not when it's sunny and we can tiptoe through the tulips and big flowers and everything is beautiful. The place of growth and the reason people are in your life is to assist you in growth and you to assist them. When you know that, then you don't get tripped up about why is this happening to me, and let me just run away and not speak to this person again. Some years ago I had a student who that had happened to him, and he hadn't spoken to his father in 10 years. And he was going through the classes and he was having realizations that this wasn't the way to live, to just cut off communication. This was his father. And he wanted to reach out to his father. So that was the first thing. The intention was set him on a path to make that happen. So I gave him some, and the whole class supported him, some work to do to change the relationship. One of the techniques that I use is called, you may have heard of this, is changing the script. Rewrite what happened. Rewrite it the way you would want it. Because you wrote it anyway, it's in your mind. You were the writer, the producer, the director. You cast the people in your script. And you made them villains, or you made them welcome and heroes, or whatever. So he did that. He took that on, and the idea was to keep writing on that script and give it dialogue. What words would you want your dad to be saying? What words would you be saying back in that situation? Create another situation. What is your dad saying to you? And you're just feeling delightful about it. Well, he shifted the energy. See where we're going here with the energy, and his heart began to open. And he did this for a couple of months. One day he came to class and he said this. You're not going to believe it. I believe it. Out of the blue, he's walking on the beach there in Santa Monica with his fiancée, and his cell phone rang. It happens to be his birthday. He answers. He doesn't recognize the number. It's his father, who he hasn't spoken to. The father didn't know. He didn't do any try to track it down, find him on Facebook. I don't think we had Facebook at that time. But he was blown away. So here's what's happening. Here's the lesson. Here's the principle and the teachings and all of this. Because his heart was open. His heart was connecting with his Father's heart. We live in a time-space dimension, but we mostly live in a dimension where time and space don't exist. So what happens here energetically happens there at the same time. And much research shows that. So his father was getting this, resonating with his heart. And his heart was opening, just as his son's heart was opening. And then, because we have a great organizing principle known as God, that is for us, is the friendly universe in whose keeping we live, move, and have our being, began to orchestrate and using other people. One of the sisters contacted the father, hadn't talked in a while, but through a series of people, in the interim, the father got the phone number. and calls him on his birthday. It was his best birthday ever. So love is for expression, activation, not just going to a place and I'm going to get some love there. It is love right inside of you. The question is, will you activate that love? Will you allow that love to express? Will you use your life as the platform for love to express? Will you use those tough situations for that to express? I asked myself those questions and the answer had to be yes. So one day I was an attorney, and I'll say this real quick and finish up. And I had to go every day for a month to a law firm in Costa Mesa, near here. And the attorney on the other side was known in our office as just most evil, most mean. No one ever really wanted to be with him because he was so horrible. But I had to go, and I had to take my clients, who were police officers. And I had this one officer, a lieutenant in Los Angeles Police Department with me. We're sitting in his office, and this attorney was being so mean to him, talking to him in mean, harsh tones, accusatory, accusing him. And this lieutenant had done nothing. What the attorney was doing was representing another police officer who was disciplined by my guy for doing some things he shouldn't be doing. We have to discipline the police officers, and there's a whole process for that without getting into the details. Part of the process is taped. Interviews are happening. And so this particular attorney was so angry at my lieutenant, but he was really angry at something else. And at one point he threw the cassette tape, this is how far back this goes, and almost hit the lieutenant. Something rose up in me, as it will do, on the human nature that said, it's not right. Should I get up, walk out, go into court, tell the judge what happened? That's the legal mind. But I was in ministerial school at the time, and I said, oh, there's a bigger picture here. We took a break. I was still enough to hear it. I heard what I needed to do. So the mean attorney, and I couldn't look at him as mean. I just had to look at him as acting outside of himself because he didn't know himself. He was in ignorance of darkness, pain. I also knew that he had, that summer, had a heart attack in Hawaii. And so he was coming off of that. During the break, I went over to him and I said, I'm taking off my attorney hat. I'm going to talk to you just because I care about you. What you just did, I don't think your mother would be proud. I don't think she raised you to do something like that and raise your voice and act so mean. And I see the pictures of your lovely children, your wife. I think they'd like to have you around. But what you just did is hurting your heart. You already had a heart attack. You don't have to be mean. There's a way in which we work all this out. It was words that were just speaking to me. What was speaking was compassion, which is the highest form of love. When somebody is unlovable acting, and bringing that, I wanted to wrap him in that. And I sincerely said to him and wanted him to know, I care about you, and I really think, I have children too, and I don't want to do anything. I want to stay around as long as I can, don't you? I know the answer to that question. It was to shake him up by saying that. He put his head down. And he knew his mother would not approve, nor would his children. And he was doing something detrimental to himself. And from that moment, he stopped. He became like my best friend. Remember, I had to go there every day for a month. He was so happy to see me. I gave him a warm welcome. Because what he needed from me was a touch of love. He needed to be in coherence with my heart, with my being. So even though we seem to have these jobs, we are not the jobs, we're not the titles, we're not the roles. We are spirit beings here for God, simply, and nothing else. So while you're in your role, you really are bringing all of you, that essence that the black paint can't touch, and that essence is pure love. And you get to wrap that around. You get to throw it out. You get to breathe in 5 counts and breathe out 5 counts. And you get to make everything and everyone in coherence with you. This is love. You got it? Yeah. My job is done. There are many stories. If you have a chance to fellowship afterwards, some of the people that you notice here from Agape, they can share their own. I think of Susanna. Her story is incredible, using the oath. She was in the class. Long before the oath came out, we did this in class, and then in 2014, we finally shared it with everyone. So even though you weren't in a class, and you just did it, you didn't know why, but things happen because things are always trying to happen, just looking for a place to come through. We're usually in the way. So the oath just opens you up. It takes your mind off of it because it's unexpected, so you don't go looking. You look for what you imagine, and then you get disappointed. Mm-hmm. So the unexpected keeps you true and available to spirit. That's very simply why the oath works. You learn it from the universe. Always wanting to go out, wants to give you more and more and more and more. You close down. The oath lifts the shades of your house. Lets all the light in. At this time, it's time for an offering, isn't it? Is it? Want me to do it? Okay, I'm happy to do it. So let's